The city of Lagos once
There is still a poor level of
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa, we break the news.
We are one Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are CORETV News.
Welcome to CORETV.
A 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back now. In this part 2, we will be taking a look at the Boko Haram, issues. Is the Nigerian military, winning? What we're told is that the Nigerian military actually winning the battle against these insurgents. Well, but then, we're taking a look at this topic. Been joining the studio with me, Biodun Shomi, is the public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming, sir.
It's my pleasure. Happy Salah to you.
Yeah. And then, of course, we also have Reverend Osin Norom, who is also a political analyst. Thank you for joining us on the show as well. Well, being joined again online on the phone now, we have Hassan Stanlambu, who is a retired colonel, and we'll be talking to him live on phone. Hello, sir.
Yes, hello, good afternoon, or is it good morning?
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Now, looking at this topic, of course, you heard me earlier. Let's take a look at this. Is Nigerian military really winning this war against insurgents, as we're told?
Yes, as we speak right now, the Nigerian military has, when the whole thing started initially, I would say the insurgents had the upper hand for obvious reasons, which I think we have always analyzed in the media. That of the deficits suffered by of equipment holding and arms and ammunition and all the rest stuff. I guess with the ongoing build-up now, the military has been able to demonstrate some real performance in the field, and we are seeing that a few or a good number of the areas that were captured by the insurgents are being recaptured back. I think we are winning the war, and we are headed in the right direction.
Okay, all right. Now, one more time, let's take a look at these. It is already in the paper this morning of, the beheaded of a pilot and all of that. And they are also planning to bomb the prayer ground in Borno State. Now, of course, you just said that some areas that were captured by the Boko Haram actually being recaptured by the Nigerian military. What do you make of this? Is it due to security lapses, or where is this coming from?
Where is what coming from?
Where is the beheaded? I'm sure you saw that in the paper this morning, where a pilot.
Yes, I got to hear about this one.
Okay. Tell us about what you think. Is it due to security lapses, or what really went wrong, in your own opinion?
You mean what must have led to the beheading, you mean?
Exactly.
Well, if the pilots fell into the hands of the the insurgents could do anything. They are terrorists. I'm not surprised at the beheading issue. I'm really surprised. I'm somebody who does not get surprised at whatever a terrorist does, because he's not kept in check by any rules or he does not have any rules by which he abides with. So if they decide to behead pilots, well, that's why they are terrorists. I don't think we shall probably do such a thing if we bring down their aircraft, because we have international rules and regulations guiding us, and so on. That's it. I want to believe, and I keep saying this, I want to believe that our aircraft brought down by them when it's shooting in their area of responsibility or so. And then after the pilot ignited off, has come to ignite off. Well, after they must have highlighted out, they still landed within the territory, and they were, of course, they fell into the hands of the insurgents. And I'm not surprised that they were beheaded. To them, it's a thing of joy that they've been able to catch such big fish.
Oh, okay, finally, before you go, Colonel, retired, before you go, just tell us what's your advice. Of course, you said we are getting there. Nigerian military, we're actually winning the war. Tell us, how do we tackle this head on? Do you also look at the area of source of the problem as well? And how do we tackle this on, finally, before we round up with you?
Yes, I would advise the military high command that we should maintain the momentum of the campaign. We should keep pushing on forward. The build-up in terms of equipment and arms should proceed on at a faster rate so as to avail us better combat capability in the field. Troops' welfare, motivation, and morale should be properly addressed. Discipline must be maintained. I'm impressed we are having a lot of cosmopolitan issues now, which is going to address whatever the level of discipline that we have that have shown its rear head, in the past. I think issues of sabotage and so on. I want that to be also deepened beyond whatever level it is now. We should look at the obstacles. We should look right top. Do we have them right at the top who are also sabotaging the efforts of this country? We should look right at the top, look at them into the eyes, and bring them before combatants also. Our media operations should be up. As far as I'm concerned, the insurgents have a better media operations than we do. I think we should up that.
Okay.
Our air power should be adequately utilized. Precision bombing should be brought into the entire operational arena. Precision bombing as much as possible.
Okay.
Of our aircraft, by virtue of precision bombing, are referring to the situation whereby people who have such capabilities. I expect a situation where an aircraft that is to pick a target, say in Abuja, it's already picking such targets all the way from Gwagwalada, if you know the distance I'm talking about. So before you know what is happening, the target is been picked and the pilot is released back home. I think these few things would assist the military in achieving whatever the aim of the higher command is as far as this command campaign is concerned. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Hassan San Lambo, for talking to us, giving us your own thoughts there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, well, of course, in the studio here, let me start with you, Reverend Austin Norum. Let me start with you. Do you agree with what Hassan said about the fact that Nigerian military were winning the war, but then the insurgents still have upper hands? What's your take on that?
It's conflicting. It's conflicting, and I don't understand how we're winning a war, and at the same time, those who are supposed to be winning the war against are still having an upper hand, and it's what I can't really understand. I know, like the average Nigerian knows. I know, like the entirety of the world that is watching knows that we haven't gotten it right. And I can also tell you that the war as of today still has the Boko Haram, these people still have a clear upper hand, all right? And I know also that our military have not in any way, up till this particular moment that I speak, they have nothing to really come out and celebrate and say, look, we have actually had a big victory over these people, because what we see is it's either they are reclaiming, all right, where these insurgents have taken, and the insurgents most of the times will still come back, all right, and take over these same places from the military. about 20 days, or I mean about 2 days ago, we had about 30 people being abducted by these insurgents. All right? And I don't understand how anybody can come up and tell us that, well, I think these are pure political statements that play hide and seek with the realities on ground.
Okay, let me come to you now, Abiodun Shomi. You know, where are we really? Because Hassan Stanlambu said we're winning the war, but, you know, Reverend said we're not winning, but it's just a political statement. Maybe, do you have any contrary idea, or where are we really in terms of this war by the Nigerian military against the insurgents?
Oh yeah, the retired Colonel Hassan's submission, in my view, tends to be somehow cautiously optimistic about the prospect, and then it's based on the fact that the Nigerian military is now being rebuilt and is now in a position to try and reclaim the lost lands to Boko Haram. Even then, but to use the word defeat, we have not been able to do that, and I must be fair to him, we have not been able, he didn't use the word defeat, but it's typical of the way military officers assess situations, and so you can't blame them for that, because they only look at the battlefield. Each battle is a battle won or lost. They don't look at the totality of the whole picture. But in relation to Boko Haram, where are we with Boko Haram? I think many people are still very troubled and question the ability of the Nigerian military today to contain the Boko Haram insurgency. We don't know what would happen tomorrow, because there have been several strings, you know, to it, in terms of, to the point that you can almost accuse the federal government of being very, very incompetent or insensitive, or almost totally sending the wrong message to other people that, look, there's nothing we can do again. Let me give you a good example. We heard recently about the killing of the Shekau, Abubakar Shekau, the leader of Boko Haram. And the first news that came out was from Cameroon, that they came into Nigeria and bombed Nigerian territory through the air and killed the man. Then the Nigerian military now decided, you know, to claim credit for it the next day, you know, to say, no, it wasn't the Cameroonian, we had killed the guy at Konduga before. Now, many people forget the importance, the significance of Cameroon saying, look, we came into your country, we bombed it. One is in total violation of international law, except Nigerian military did ask for Cameroon's help. So it was clear that Nigerian military was not even condemning it. The Nigerian federal government was not condemning, you know, the fact that Cameroon openly admitted to coming into Nigeria. So that to me suggested that we sought for help, you know, from Cameroon to bomb Sambisa Forest and to bomb some towns in Nigeria, because our Air Force perhaps could not do it, or because morale was low, you know, within the Nigerian forces. We had that problem. That is one issue. Don't forget the fact that we have had 2 prior claims that they've killed Shekau, you know, by the Nigerian military, and it all turned out to be lies, 2010 and 2013, that he was killed. And then we've now realized that the man is still alive. Now, with this new video, they're saying people are now doubting the Nigerian military. This is the 3rd time on one person. So to what extent can you believe anything you hear? Because the first casualty in any war is the truth. In a situation where they've imposed a state of emergency, it means human rights groups and media cannot easily have access to do their job. And nobody sees any verification of, if we all what we read is 30 people killed, Nigerian military killed 30 Boko Haram, only 6 soldiers died. But have they taken journalists to actually see the bodies of those people killed? No. And that is why the press must be cautious in the way they report these things. They must tell Nigerians that, look, we have not been able to verify these claims.
Okay, let me come in there. But do you think that video, from the look of what we saw in the paper and what we saw in the video, of course, the one that was bombed and died, and of course we saw the picture where he was laughing. Do you think that video really tells the story? If Shekau, the real Shekau, was killed or still the imposter, as it were?
The real Shekau might not even be known to anybody, including the Nigerian intelligence and the Nigerian military. They may be using an impostor, you know, to create, there's this thing they do in the military. They create, deliberately, they will create a demon and then choose to pursue that demon and then kill the demon. It's one of the things they use in war. You know, at times you ascribe more importance to somebody so that because, you know, the person is a softer target to get. And then eventually when you move in for it, it boosts morale. People are made to believe that, look, we are winning the war. We have not killed, you know, that evil person. So we may not, in fact, know the real Abubakar Shekau. We may have been chasing ghosts created, you know, by either Boko Haram or by our own military. We don't know. But one important thing we need to understand about it is this. Is it not worrying that when an aircraft on a reconnaissance mission disappeared in Nigeria more than a month ago, we could not find that aircraft? If an aircraft crashed, we should be able to locate...
I'm coming to that, Mr. Biodun. Well, let me come to, Austin Norum here, who is a reverend. Do you think there's something wrong with the line of information? Because just like Biodun said, he was also talk if it was the real Boko Haram that was killed or not. Now, do you think there's something wrong with the line of information or where the information is coming from, whether it's true or not? Do you think there's something that is wrong with it?
From all indications, and also, if I might quote the spokesperson for the military, who had at so many times had problems with the reportings on issues that border with the insurgents, and how he thinks these reports, you understand, are denting the image of the military, even when it is obvious to everybody that as at that time, all right, the reports were not even actually coming only from the journalists. You see, we live in a world today where one of the cheapest things you can access is information. People who are there can send these things faster than even before it gets to the journalists through social media, all right? And these people are telling you that this is what is happening. The wives of the soldiers are saying our husbands are dying. People are saying we are running away. We are living in forests. And then the military spokesperson is saying no. These people are giving us wrong information. You understand? So, you see, the issue about information management, just like Mr. Showmi said, one of the first casualties, and the major one, is the truth. You understand? And when you have that, then it becomes very worrisome. In this problem, the truth itself has not been told to Nigerians. And the military themselves are not coming out to actually give us a clear position. Everywhere in the world where people are confronted with issues like this, especially the developed world, people are not afraid to tell you that, look, this is the situation we have on ground. But here, we're not getting the situation we have on ground from the military. You understand? And I think the journalists are also being very, very cautious because of the political game and power that we see in play. And that's why nobody wants to really stick out his neck. You understand? Especially when you know that, when you know their consequences of coming out to do things that the military might, of course, have problems with. And don't forget, just most recently, a couple of newspaper materials were
been confiscated.
Yeah, were confiscated by the military for, you understand? And some people, some media houses have been targeted as enemies because they are trying to keep Nigerians abreast with the position of things. So
because that day, I think I saw on the video. I apologize. We can't give you that video to look at now, but it appears that with the sincerity of heart, when the defense, I'm talking about the director of information now. That's a Chris Olukolade who was actually giving that information that day, and it appears it was sincere. Of course, we'll be giving different figures at different points how on information how this man has been killed. But what do you make of the fact that?
No, wait, let me hold you there. Now, there was an instance where some Nigerian soldiers who were fleeing or suspected to be fleeing from the Boko Haram sect went into Cameroon.
800.
And they were disarmed by the Cameroonian military. Now, our own military information told us that no. These people were not actually fleeing. All right? That it was part of a strategy plan, and you see, the stories were cooked up. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if people can tell you such things, all right, how will you want to believe anything they are telling you? So you see, it's worrisome for us. You understand? And it's unhealthy for the present battle we have. So one of the very first things I think the military should get right is information. They should accept the reality of what is on ground.
So what the question I wanted to ask is, it is believed that, okay, in security, there are certain information you don't divulge when it comes to security of the state. Do you think that's what
No, it doesn't. It doesn't come to play here.
Okay.
There's a war in Syria. There was war in Iraq. All right. There was war in Egypt. All right. It's everywhere. And why it doesn't even come to play here is because you can't conceal it. There are people involved, and the people involved are the rate at which they give out the information. You understand? It's one you can't even check. You understand? You can't check it. So it only makes mockery of what you are saying. You understand what I'm saying? What are you covering up? Are you covering up that Boko Haram does not exist? Are you covering up that Boko Haram does not have sophisticated equipment? Even when it is clear the governor of the state, the senators in those areas, I'm talking of political office holders there, have come out clearly. The military themselves have come out and said, look, their wives have come out to say, look, don't send our husbands to this place to go and die. All right? So these are issues that the Nigerian army should not, for any reason.
Oh, okay, we will come back to you. But let me quickly go back to you, Biodo. Do you think something is wrong with the operation? You know, you were talking about the fact that a jet was diverted and was bombed down and was intercepted and all of that, and someone was beheaded. You think something we should be looking at the operational line of the Nigerian military? What's your take on that?
Yes, it's quite very baffling that even in today's age, when people are placing so much emphasis on using the Air Force as the safest way to reduce casualties.
Okay, I'm just told that someone is on the line. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, hello, Ike. You're calling from Enugu. How are you today?
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Now, you can go ahead with your contribution. Hello, Ike. Can you hear me, Ike? I'm sorry we lost him there. Yeah.
So when you think about that, one, I must confess that the Nigerian military is faced with serious problems, and Nigerians need to look at how do we resolve this problem. One, you can't access high-tech precision equipment, which the retired Colonel Hassan was talking about. because for several reasons. One, there are very few countries that have them, and they are largely Europeans and the Americans, including the Russians. Now, to buy that, some of them take some factors into consideration. Corruption, they take account of your human rights record into consideration. That is why the Americans and the British won't sell us certain level of equipment. Then they take factors like, do you use weapons, to repress your people? In Nigeria, we still do that. So,
hold on, let me just take this call. Hello, Jeremiah. Yeah, hello, can you hear me? Please go ahead with your contribution.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Hello? Okay. I want to talk on the issue of death of the cow. Yeah, whether the cow is dead or is not dead, that is not the main issue. The issue is that our society are open to change, and they are winning the war. As you can see, I'm calling for Yola. I'm using the word also. We should encourage our security agencies. It's not the issue of the death of Shekau, because there are many imposters. After using this Shekau, another Shekau will still emanate. So the issue, killing their leader is not the basis. But the effort that our security agencies are making, the effort the federal government is making, should be appreciated. So if we say, because Shekau is alive, then Nigeria is not winning the war. It's not so. We are winning. And by the grace of God, we shall overcome them. So let's not be pessimistic. We should.
Thank you very much, Jeremiah, for calling that. Yeah, of course.
Let us talk up morale. Don't let us be pessimistic.
Exactly.
Let us be very optimistic.
But Hassan Lambo talk about the
Yes.
issue of sabotage within the military, hierarchy. What's your take on that? Do you also believe that there is a kind of sabotage within the military, hierarchy? Some people, some group are actually putting a lot of effort, while some within the military hierarchy are actually sabotaging that effort. Do you believe that?
Yeah, if we are to take the last caller into consideration, you would say, no, there's nothing like that. We have to talk it all up. But we have to be realistic. There's sabotage in the military. And it is quite clear. The sabotage is corruption. It's not being... who is auditing, the military budget? Have you ever heard of army officers, generals being held to account for money for weapons? We have not heard of that. Look, let them carry out an audit of
Okay. I have to take this call, please. We'll come back to that. Very important point there. Yeah, go ahead, Joseph, calling from Ejigbo, Lagos. Go ahead, please. Hello, Joseph.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello? Okay. Let me say what I want to say. I don't know if you are hearing me.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you clearly.
Issue going on this country, whether it's like winning the war. This is that the war continues, and since this war is political, there's no way the soldiers can win this war.
Well, that line is gone off there. But
So we have passed the stage of being optimistic or pessimistic. We are now at the stage of being realistic. We must be realistic. What is killing the Nigerian military today? What is creating a situation where we do not have a search and rescue mission able to identify the location of an aircraft in a small forest as Sambisa? We are not talking right in the middle of Atlantic Ocean or the Mediterranean. That's not where we're talking about. In a forest, in a dry land. We couldn't locate it, and it took over a month only for Boko Haram to tell us, look, we shot the thing down and we have your helicopter. So what's the hope are we giving? What hope are we giving, to our pilots, Air Force officers to fly missions, hoping that, look, if anything happens, they will get rescued? So we have serious problem. Provisions have been made for weapons, made for all this training, everything year on, year out. But what is happening? Nobody is probing or looking into what is going on in the military. Don't forget, when our boys went to Liberia, they did very well. They came back home. They saved Liberia. They came back home. They were not paid their entitlement. And these guys protested. They were arraigned. They were court-martialed and sent to jail. Nobody touched those who were supposed to pay them the money. Same thing is happening currently now when people complain about being treated badly.
Let's quickly take this call. Cletus calling from Kano. What's your take, Cletus? Please make your contribution. Hello, Cletus? Hello, Cletus? Please, if you can call back.
Network is call back. So recently, when we had in Borno that some soldiers mutinied, against their general simply because they didn't have the right equipment, to fight the war, and so many of them were killed. Don't forget that the governor of Borno State, Tima, warned the whole country about this. He was slammed. People like Tunde Kolawole, the spokesperson for Nigeria military, people like the presidency, they all said the man was talking rubbish. They were talking up the whole thing. But when those soldiers were faced with reality, and they lost so many of their colleagues, if they had had the right equipment, probably that wouldn't have happened, or the casualty wouldn't be as much as that. They protested. Now they've been sentenced. They were court-martialed and sentenced to death. So what is really going on in the military? We have been appropriating money year in, year out to buy weapons, to buy the right equipment. So what is really going on? Why is it that our boys don't have it? Why are we losing heavy casualties to a ragtag army, of extremists? You are not talking of, a modern army from Benin Republic or Cameroon. To a ragtag army. What is really going on within the Nigerian military in terms of logistics and equipment procurement?
Okay, let me come to you, Austin. What do you make of these courts? About 12 of them have been court-martialed, and they were supposed to be, killed or, with firing squad. At this point that we are facing a battle that we've not won. Of course, everyone is saying, okay, give Nigerian military kudos, they are winning the war. How do we handle such issue at this time? Do you think it's something that will affect the morale of other people or Nigerian who are also
it's just to whip them back in line, and I think it's wrong. It's like you have people who you say you can't speak out, all right, and you make it appear like in the military, all right, you just have to obey, all right, even if you have to obey to get dead. You understand? At even almost a situation where everybody knows and circumstances where it becomes obvious that you're going to die, you are asked to go there and die and don't complain. You understand? And I don't think it's healthy for us, and it's making us a laughing stock among the Committee of Nations, and I think it's wrong. Just like he pointed out, we had the same scenario in Liberia when our soldiers came back. And
just make it short, in one sentence, what do we think we should be looking at this time, at least this stage we are now, just in one sentence?
So the problem of Boko Haram, like we know, from the time we had Azazi, who of course was a military man, and even from the president's hometown, you understand, and he came out and told us the problem. This is a political problem, and if you have to deal with Boko Haram, you have to look for political solutions to deal with Boko Haram. You understand? Boko Haram cannot only be won on a battlefield. The war against Boko Haram must be won by the political class.
Okay. There you have Austin saying the war with Boko Haram must be won by political class. Just give us your submission. What do you think we should be looking at this point of that we are in the battle against insurgents?
We should have a two-twin approach to the problem. One, the rank and file Nigerian soldiers are doing very wonderfully well, very brave soldiers. We need to equip them, with the right weapons to fight this war. On the other hand, again, the political leadership needs to engage with Boko Haram. There is no war ever fought in the whole world that did not end up, on the round table. So we can save the lives of our boys. We need our boys to fight external aggression. We don't want to use our boys to fight ourselves. The Nigerian military need to crush or contain Boko Haram, while at the same time, we must open a channel of communication with Boko Haram with a view to resolve the issue if it's political.
Well, thank you very much, Biodun, for coming, and Austin Norum for coming. Well, we've been talking to Biodun Shoumi, who is a public affairs analyst, and of course, Reverend Austin Norum, who is also a political analyst here on the show, looking at Boko Haram, the Nigerian military really winning the war against, and that's what all of them have said there. And so we have to round it up here now. Thank you very much for watching the call digest of the weekend edition, and we're wishing you Barika Salah from our studios here. Thank you very much. I am Frank Omalape. Up next is News on the Hour.
CORETV News, expanding your view.